I'm Matt McClure, and this is Currents. The Brooklyn Diocese celebrates a Labor Day tradition, the West Indian American Day Parade.
And I just love the parade to come out and show my Catholic faith. It is strong, it is powerful, and it is very uplifting to each and every one.
Plus, students can add lessons in the birds and the bees to their school subjects. We'll learn more about New York's new mandatory sex ed curriculum. And we'll show you how kids got back into the swing of things for this school year with the help of Catholic Charities.
If you don't have an education, to me, education is the #1 key for a successful life. If you don't have an education, you don't have anything.
Good evening, and thanks so much for joining us tonight. Well, the unofficial end of summer came and went yesterday in a burst of color, music, and Caribbean delicacies up and down Eastern Parkway. Yes, that's the traditional route of the annual West Indian Day Parade. And for another year, among the masks and masqueraders, you could also be sure to find the Diocese of Brooklyn in full effect, prepared to make the journey from Utica Avenue to Grand Army Plaza, celebrating its diverse Caribbean heritage and their shared Catholic faith. Evangelization was the order of the day for the diocese as New York's wide-ranging West Indian community bid farewell to the summer of 2011 with the wave of a flag.
This is kind of a very cultural but essentially Catholic celebration. The music from the Caribbean is used to praise the Lord. The eternal message permeates the culture of the various people.
We've always had the Mass. I think this was a celebration that started many years back. And when I arrived at the diocese, I thought it would be a good idea to view the parade. And then as I viewed the parade, I thought it's better that we march to the parade. And that's how we got to be a marching part of the parade.
Eastern Parkway and Utica Avenue seems to be the crossroads of the West Indian community of New York City. So, and this is the place where the parade starts. So we're right here, right at the beginning of the parade. Jesus tells us to go out into the deep and throw our nets. And the deep symbolizes for me the unknown and everything that is not of the good news.
Certainly there's lots of things in the parade that are not according to Catholic thought, and we think it's better to be part and to bless than to stand on the side and condemn.
Carnival has also some Catholic history behind it. Like you see the parade, so it's the combination of Catholic, Indian, and African culture. So it's like the combination of the mundane and the sacred. So it's part of the Black spirituality.
We're here to celebrate Jesus. Let the people know our culture. It's not only of, the nakedness on the street and whatnot. It's about Jesus Christ. This is God, the Word of God.
I just love the parade to come out and show my Catholic faith. It is strong, it is powerful, and it is very uplifting to each and every one.
For me, this is so exciting because, as we said, the Lord could work miracles, and there are so many people that the lives that Jesus could touch today.
Just the sense of spirituality for the people that are still religious and they want to see a part of them there. God is everywhere, so I guess they might as well be everywhere with him. Spread the word, right?
Yeah, I asked for some rosary beads. I feel like it's very nice that the parade is supporting the church. It's very good for the community. They're part of the community that we all live in, and it helps us see that everything we do involves church. Everything we do in our daily life involves church.
I am Catholic also, and I was aware that they were coming through, and it's always nice to see them every year, participating, and the crowd receives them very well.
Well, a big celebration there that the diocese is part of course, each and every year. Well, now we all know that the end of summer, whether it's official or not, means it's the start of a new school year for our nation's students. The annual changeover from carefree summer days to studious students can be a bittersweet moment, but remember, you still have those cherished memories. So we wanted to find out a little bit more about those memories. We sent our cameras out to ask a few kids about those carefree days, including what exactly have you been doing all summer?
Reading and going to summer camp.
I've been working with my dad.
I went to the park and ride my bicycle all around the block. Going to the pool.
This summer I've been going out to the pool, having fun with my friends, doing all kinds of stuff.
I have been doing my homework, finishing my homework and playing with my friends, and getting 1 hour of daily activities each day.
Well, I've been going to the pool. I went upstate, and I also went to the beach once.
Relaxing.
Mostly just going out to the beach or the pool.
Studying, getting ready for 8th grade, and pretty much practicing for confirmation this October.
Welcome back to Currents. I'm Matt McClure. Coming up later, Catholic Charities gets kids ready to head back to school, and we'll show you how. But first, let's have a look at the day's headlines. Well, as promised, the National Organization for Marriage is adding its 2 cents to some elections in New York State. The group, which unsuccessfully campaigned heavily against a measure to legalize same-sex marriage here in New York, is sponsoring billboards targeting 4 Republican state senators, all of whom voted in favor of the measure. One billboard in the district of Albany area Senator Roy McDonald reads, quote, "Roy McDonald, you're fired." A spokesman for McDonald said, quote, "They are entitled to their opinion. It is a free country." The National Organization for Marriage says it hopes to soon have billboards in the districts of the other 3 Republicans who voted for same-sex marriage. Well, meanwhile, the battle over California's Proposition 8, which defines marriage as between a man and a woman, continued today. Amber Lee has more on a hearing before the state's Supreme Court.
We were one of the lucky ones to be married with pride before Proposition 8 passed.
John Lewis and Stuart Gaffney told us they plan to hold these signs and join a dozen other same-sex couples to protest Prop 8 before the hearing starts.
It's just not fair in California to have marriage haves and marriage have-nots.
Supporters and opponents of the same-sex marriage ban will be arguing before the California Supreme Court. The issue is whether the sponsors of the ban can appeal the federal court ruling that found Prop 8 unconstitutional.
Have to have a draft opinion when they go in.
Law professor Rory Little told us it's standard procedure for the justices to already have a draft of their ruling prepared, and he expects the supporters of the ban to win this round.
I think they have a draft opinion that says that the proponents, the official proponents of a proposition, have the legal interest sufficient to defend it on appeal.
By phone, the attorney for supporters of the same-sex marriage ban told us he's confident the outcome will favor them.
It's about the initiative process as a whole and ensuring that when the people vote for an initiative, that somebody will be permitted to defend the vote of the people.
Little says the lengthy legal process is likely a deliberate move by the courts.
It's an important thing to make sure you do it slowly and carefully, and in a sense you let people get used to it. And that's what they're doing. They're letting people get used to the idea.
That report there from Amber Lee. Now, California's bishops have stated their support for traditional marriage, saying it, quote, provides the framework for family in which children may be created, nurtured, and educated. And another hot-button social issue, abortion, was a topic of discussion as 5 GOP presidential candidates took part in last night's Palmetto Freedom Forum in South Carolina. Former Massachusetts Governor Mitt Romney said he would not challenge the Supreme Court by passing a law through Congress to outlaw abortion. Meanwhile, Minnesota Congresswoman Michelle Bachmann said that she would be prepared for such a challenge. Former House Speaker Newt Gingrich said that anyone who wants to be president needs to turn to a higher power.
I think anyone who would not face the most serious questions by asking God's guidance and God's grace and asking God's help would be a person who totally misunderstood the nature of life and who would be dangerous holding a major office.
Texas Congressman Ron Paul and former Godfather's Pizza CEO Herman Cain also took part in yesterday's forum. And other news in the race to the White House, Michelle Bachmann's campaign manager Ed Rollins has announced that he is stepping down. He's actually already stepped down because of health reasons, he says. Rollins suffered a stroke last year. Well, in Rome now, the Vatican has responded to allegations it interfered with investigations of sexual abuse in the church in Ireland. Rome Reports has details.
The Vatican is reaching out to Ireland after being strongly criticized by Dublin last July on the way the church handled cases of sex abuse in the country. The Holy See responded with a detailed letter denying their accusations and offering collaboration with the Irish government to improve relations. In late July, Ireland called on the Vatican for an official response to the Cloyne report, alleging that between 1996 and 2009, the then Bishop of Cloyne ignored the rules of the Episcopal Conference and did not report cases of sexual abuse. There were 19 priests in question, dealing with the abuse of 40 minors. The report also accused the Vatican of not supporting the bishops who wanted to impose these guidelines. In fact, a letter was published in 1997 addressed to the bishops, stating the concern of the Vatican's Congregation for the Clergy on forcing bishops to report abuse. In the 11,000-word response, the Vatican says the Congregation for the Clergy urged caution to prevent their good intentions from contradicting canon law and from creating processes that would invalidate their efforts. It also notes that in the same year, the Irish Parliament decided it would not be mandatory to report cases of abuse. It also says these rules were not mandatory because the Irish bishops presented them as an interim document and didn't ask for validation. On the other hand, Rome has said that in no way did they aim to hinder or impede the investigation on cases of sexual abuse. The report concludes with the Vatican extending their hand to the Irish government, asking for a constructive dialogue based on mutual respect. Meanwhile, the Irish government has maintained their reservations. They have stated their appreciation for the collaborative offer and assured that they will soon offer an official comment to the Vatican's response.
Well, turning now to Cuba, where the Catholic Church there is denouncing recent violence against Cuban dissidents. In a statement, the church says violence of any kind against defenseless persons has no justification. A group of wives and other female relatives of Cuban dissidents has accused government supporters and police of assaults and detentions in parts of the country. Well, meanwhile, a priest from a mining town in Colombia has been shot dead. A government official told a Colombian newspaper that the priest was killed last Thursday while driving a motorcycle. Police are investigating the murder now. A Polish cardinal who was a confidant of Pope John Paul II has died. Cardinal Andrzej Maria Deskur has worked for the Vatican for decades. He first became acquainted with the future Pope John Paul during sessions of the Second Vatican Council. Cardinal Deskur was forced to resign from active service back in 1984 when he was just 60 years old because of physical infirmity. Pope Benedict has now said that the cardinal had enriched his ministry by accepting illness with evangelical resignation. Well, a Georgia church appears to have had a reversal of fortunes, an anonymous donor dropping a lottery ticket worth $80,000 into the collection basket at the Cathedral of Prayer in Columbus, Georgia. The church will now be able to afford to repair its air conditioning, which has been out of order since a thief stripped it of its copper wiring 3 weeks ago. And you can forget about pop stars and sports teams. The Facebook page with the greatest number of highly engaged users is none other than Jesus Daily. That page, which has more than 8.4 million users, is updated daily with biblical quotes, prayers, and reflections. It's run by a North Carolina-based diet doctor who tells the New York Times he wanted to provide people with encouragement. Well, it seems to be working. Stay tuned, there's much more currents ahead. Controversy over the new sex ed mandate in New York City's public schools. We'll take a look at that and more. But first, as students get ready to say farewell to the summer and hello to the classroom, we asked them if they miss being in school. Here's what they had to say.
I think I miss fooling around in the hallways with my friends, so yeah, because my school's pretty laid back.
Well, sometimes I miss being at school, but mostly I miss most of my friends.
I miss about school is my teacher, studying.
Not really, because, like, we gotta do work at school.
I do. I miss my friends because I haven't talked to them in a long time.
I do, but, like, I only miss my friends, really.
Yes, I do, and I miss working cooperatively with my mates.
I don't really miss school. And what I would miss would be my friends.
I miss about school is the recess time.
Welcome back. Well, first it was Brooklyn Bishop Nicholas DiMarzio. Then last week, the Vatican spoke out against a new sex education mandate for New York City public schools. Well, the policy that's causing all of the ruckus is part of the city's Young Men's Initiative, which Mayor Michael Bloomberg's office says is intended to confront racial and ethnic disparities among young men in the city. Now, as part of that plan, schools are mandated to teach one semester of sex education as early as middle school. School Chancellor Dennis Walcott says that the goal of this education plan is to educate kids, many of whom statistics say are already having sex, on how to stay away from risky behavior. Well, in a statement, Bishop DiMarzio said the mandate is another example of, quote, political agendas being forced on children and their families. The Vatican newspaper, the Roman Observer, said last week that the initiative may even be harmful because it ignores the underlying causes of teenage sexual exploration. Well, the debate over what lessons our children should learn in the classroom will not be coming to an end anytime soon. But could the answer to our nation's economic woes come from our schools? Well, as President Obama's highly anticipated jobs speech approaches, improving our crumbling school infrastructure could be on the job-creating agenda. CNN's Athena Jones takes a look at that and exactly what the president might be proposing and who it could benefit right away.
With unemployment stuck above 9% and no jobs added in August, President Obama is under pressure to come up with a plan to jumpstart hiring. He's long argued that infrastructure spending creates jobs, and it's among the proposals being considered.
We could be rebuilding roads and bridges and schools and parks all across America right now. Could put hundreds of thousands of folks to work right now.
America's schools could benefit. The American Society of Civil Engineers gave public school facilities a D in their most recent report. Baltimore is one city that could gain. Here at Samuel Coleridge Taylor Elementary School, an 84-year-old school downtown, the boiler and windows need to be replaced. Many of the air conditioners and electric sockets don't work, and the water fountains have been sealed to prevent possible lead poisoning from old pipes. Problems persist citywide, even though the state spends millions to update schools each year.
We are a school system that has a $2 billion plus repair backlog due to tremendous neglect over the decades. We're trying to give our kids great science labs, great media labs, but the basics, which is their ability to feel that they're in a setting which is conducive to learning, is something that we're constantly struggling to address.
This fourth grade teacher sees students struggle with a lack of AC.
It's hard to keep them focused. You know, sometimes you see them and they're just starting to slump on the desk because they're hot.
But while the need may be clear, there's debate over whether this kind of spending creates jobs. The Economic Policy Institute wants to see a $50 billion federal program to repair schools, which they say would create 500,000 jobs.
The repair costs are tremendous. So getting an infusion of money from the federal government could put people to work.
But critics say federal spending on infrastructure has a minimal effect on job creation.
I think if the federal government could create jobs, we wouldn't see this new jobs report that just came out showing that 0 jobs were created in August.
With congressional approval needed for any boost in infrastructure spending, it's a debate that's unlikely to go away.
That report there from CNN's Athena Jones. Well, there is more currents ahead, but with all this talk of schools, we just had to ask some summer vacationing students if they were excited about the prospect of heading back to homeroom.
Kinda, cause like there we get to see our new classmates and like the teacher.
Oh, kind of? Not exactly.
No.
Yeah, I am, because it's my senior year, so I'm pretty sure it's going to go by really quick and fast.
Yeah, I am.
Yeah, definitely. You get to meet new friends, you know, get to see old ones, and get to learn all kinds of stuff.
Yes, because I'm going to new school this year.
Yeah. A little.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, I'm excited. You know, it's going to be a month. It's going to be my senior year, and it's going to be great.
Well, finally tonight, as we've been telling you throughout the show, students are getting ready to head back to school. And even though the weather forecast may be, somewhat gloomy this week, the academic year is going to be just a bit brighter. That is because the students and parents had an opportunity last month to take part in Kids Fun Day. It was sponsored by Catholic Charities, Brooklyn and Queens. There they received some information on safety, health, and much more. And we actually sent our cameras out to catch the action in Astoria, Queens at one of 2 Kids Fun Days.
About 3 years ago, we received school supplies, and we thought, how best could we disseminate those to the community? And that's why we decided to have Kids Fun Day. And it's turned into an annual event, and we've gotten more and more donations to give out.
It's a way during the summertime of reaching a lot of kids and families who normally might not have access to either a doctor or to learning enhancements and so forth and so on. So this way, out in the open air in the nice weather, they can have a chance to experience some fun, something to do with their family, and at the same time reap the benefits of some of these programs that Catholic Charities makes available to them for the most part.
Our event, actually, Catholic Charities event, is all about building community. And I think we really want to our community members to be part of this great event that we have. And this is actually our 3rd annual Kids Fun Day. And I think this has been really success. And not only Catholic Charities, but we're in partnership with many organizations. And I think that's what it is all about, building community.
The economic reality today is that many of our families are out of work, or if they are working, they're in very low-paying jobs and they need to work 2 and 3 jobs just to make ends meet. So having to buy school supplies really is a cost factor. Many people come to us for our food pantry, so just even to buy those simple school supplies really impacts on their budget.
The children are actually our future. And I think it's just by giving them a little incentive to really looking forward for the school year, I think it's really important.
The kids really need to be prepared for school. If they don't have proper nutrition, if they don't have their school supplies, they really won't do as well in school as other children. So that's part of why we have this event, to give out healthy snacks, give ideas for healthy snacks, and to give out those supplies so they can really reach their full potential.
As a parent, I think it's just so exciting to see children that are actually getting one little thing from us. So I think it's important that especially the Catholic Charities is giving to the community.
I think one of the things that we've seen over the past couple of years when the economic times have been so difficult is that there is so much generosity that people have offered. They've either donated their time or they've donated items to us. So even though it's a difficult time, people that seem to have are willing to give, and it's so appreciated.
If you don't have an education, to me education is the #1 key for a successful life. If you don't have an education, you don't have anything, especially nowadays. You definitely need an education. It's great, wonderful. Thank you, Catholic Charities.
And a lot of people are saying that. Thank you so much, Catholic Charities. Well, of course, we'll keep the students, parents, teachers, and everybody involved in education in our thoughts and prayers as the school year gets underway. Well, I'm very happy to be back here at Currents as the school year gets underway here. It's almost like summer vacation is over for me, too. You know, I spent a couple of weeks in Florida, and for those of you who might not know, I actually have mentioned this a couple times in the show in the past, but I've done some musical theater and some plays and some musicals and stuff in the past, and I was able to actually do that on my vacation for a couple of weeks in Florida. I was in a show called Forever Plaid. Had a great time doing that in sunny South Florida. And the weird thing is, when I went down there, a hurricane was headed for Florida. A few days after I got there, turned missed Florida and hit here. What that's all about, I don't know. I was telling some of the guys I think I'm hurricane repellent. And I could very well be. Who knows? But I'm just glad that the hurricane wasn't as bad here as they thought it might be. Of course, there are those that are still suffering in places like Vermont, upstate New York, places in New Jersey as well from the effects of Irene. But we'll, of course, remember to keep them in our thoughts and prayers as well. But bottom line for us here, I'm just glad to be back. I'm glad to be back here at Currents, and I'm glad that you are there to watch as well. And thanks to everybody who made it happen while I was gone. I'm just a teeny tiny itty bitty part of the Currents team here, but thanks to Maria Elena and all of the others who were kind of pitching in and helping make it work, especially the great coverage for World Youth Day. Well, that is it for this particular edition of the show. Now, coming up tomorrow, Brooklyn's Indonesian Catholics are going to be celebrating an anniversary, and we'll have all of the details and take you there. Until then, be sure to visit us online, though. Just go to currentsny.net. We are also on Facebook and on Twitter. For all of us here at Currents, I'm Matt McClure. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great night. And we leave you now with more from students who told us what they think is the coolest thing about the first day of school.
That you get to have fun first and then start to learn more.
You get to meet new people.
Doing nothing.
Probably seeing your classmates again. Being with your friends again.
Meet your friends and meet your teachers.
You feel like a new person in you.
Meeting your friends.
The coolest thing is you don't really have to do any work. You just introduce yourself and like go back to your friends and find out how the summer's been and stuff.
First day of school, everybody is just hugging each other and just like ready to start new things.
You know, the excitement of going back and meeting friends.